Hey guys, what's up? This is Let's Ride USA. Today, we're going to be answering a question that I get very often on the channel, which is, what beginner bike should I get? I'm looking to get into riding. What bike should I get? Well, today we're going to answer that question. So, got three bikes here, which, in our opinion, are the best three beginner bikes out there. So, I'm going to start off by saying that if you're in the market for a bike, do not go with like a Chinese pit bike, because I was in that position. I was gonna get a Chinese pit bike because obviously they're cheap, but they're cheap for a reason, and you want to get a proper Japanese bike. Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, the big name brands. They're a lot easier to work on. There's more parts available for them. And they're just overall a lot more reliable, and you'll have a lot more fun on them. Also, I think that the best bikes for a beginner are 4-strokes, not 2-strokes, just because they're a lot simpler, they're a lot easier to maintain. You don't have to worry about mixing gas with these 4-stroke bikes. Up first, we have the KLX110L, the Honda XR100, and the Yamaha TTR230. So we have these three bikes for a couple of reasons. We have the 110 for the smaller rider. 100 is a little bit of a intermediate size, and then the 230 is, of course, for the bigger riders. Okay, so starting with the smallest, we're going to be starting off with the Kawasaki KLX110L. Now, we're not being brand specific. We're pretty much talking about all of the Japanese 110s from Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha. They're all pretty much the same reliable 4-stroke engine. Just the bike that we have available to us is the KLX110L. So the L edition is a little bit taller than the regular 110. So if you are a smaller rider, but want the 110 size or the 110 power, you can always go for the regular 110. But if you want the 110 power, but you're a little bit taller, always go with the KLX 110L, because of course it does have the bigger suspension and also the clutch. Now, regarding the clutch, the other 110s, the CRF, TTR, regular KLX, and the DRZ, they do not have a clutch. So their gearing it's semi-automatic, so it's all the way down is neutral, and it's first, second, and third. But the 110L, it's a clutch, and the gearing is 1 down for first, neutral, second, third, and fourth. So it actually has an extra gear. So like I said, just giving you guys options depending on size and if you want a clutch or not. That's why I think that any of the Japanese brand 110s are a really good option. Like I said, don't skimp out and get one of the SSR 110s, the Chinese ones. They're good bikes and they have their purpose. I think they're more of, if you have a big bike and just want something to play around on. But if you're a new rider, you want to get something reliable, something that you can just go to your local power sports dealership and pick up any air filters or any other maintenance things that you may need, because the parts for the Japanese bikes are a lot more readily available. Okay, so now moving along to the 100. In my opinion, this is the best beginner bike to get. I've said that for a long time. I started out on 100. Connor started out on 100. Absolutely love them. Like I said, I was thinking about going for the Chinese brand 110, but once I got on the 100, I knew if I did go for a $400 used Chinese 110, I would have sold it in a month and just picked up the 100. So it's an amazing bike. It's super reliable. It's very easy to learn on. It does have a clutch. So if you do want, this is more of a full size bike. It's not a full, it's still a small bike, but the 110s are more pit bikes, whereas once you get into the CRF and XR100, even the 80s, you're looking more of a bigger, real dirt bike styled modeling of it. So the clutch is very easy to learn on this bike. It's the clutch I learned to ride on. I feel with the 110, the clutch on that's actually a little bit more sensitive than the 100. Not sure why that is, but it's just a very easy bike to learn on. It's a very forgiving bike. With any of these bikes, you're gonna make mistakes, and the 100 is just so reliable. The 4-stroke engines on these 100s, the air-cooled 4-stroke engines that Honda makes are so rock solid and so reliable. You can go hours and hours and hours. It's just a lot of fun. All three of these bikes are just bikes that you can pick up out of the garage and just go. You don't have to worry about all this maintenance. Of course, you do have to do maintenance eventually, but it's a very hassle-free bikes. These are very hassle-free bikes. You just pick them up, you go, you ride for as long as you want, and then when you have some spare time, do an oil change, do an air filter change. So that's definitely a great thing about all these bikes. 100 in particular, it does have the kickstart. This is the only bike out of the 3 that does not have an electric start. So if electric start is something that is important to you, this bike does not have it. But I do believe that Honda has came out with the CRF125 to replace this bike, and I think that does have electric start as well as a kickstart. The 110 does have kickstart and electric start. For beginners, I think it's definitely good to have kickstart, because all the bikes out there, you're gonna eventually, once you move up, have to get kickstart. So getting used to it early on is definitely very helpful. But electric start is definitely very easy and nice to have. The 100, it's a great size. It's, like I said, it's more of a full size style dirt bike as compared to just a pit bike. So the seat is definitely a little bit longer. The whole thing is a little bit longer, but it only sits about maybe 2 to 3 inches higher than the 110. What's also nice about this bike is that for beginners, you get a big fill exhaust heat shield, so you don't have to worry about burning your leg on it too badly. I believe, yes, the TTR does also have that. I mean, overall, it's just a great, solid bike. I've been in so many situations where I thought for sure that this bike wasn't gonna have enough power to make it up that hill or get over that log, but every single time it just keeps fighting back, and it's got plenty of power. For a beginner, you're gonna have, it's gonna be a controlled amount of power when you're learning on, but then when you get a hang of it and actually get out onto the trails, you're gonna have enough power, and then over time, when you do want to move up, you'll have the basic skills that you learn on this bike to then move up. Also, the suspension on this bike, it's probably perfect for a beginner. Once you start hitting some decent sized jumps, it's going to be bottoming out, but just for casual trail riding, I think the suspension on this bike is awesome. Okay, so now we're going to be moving to the TTR230, where we're going to have Connor talk about it. So,
all right. So this bike, it's better for the taller rider, someone who's maybe like 5'6" and up. It's got plenty of power, so it doesn't really matter who you are, it should be able to keep up just fine. It's got a disc brake in the front, which none of these bikes do. So the disc brake will give you a little bit more responsiveness, some better braking. This bike sadly does not have a kickstart. It's electric start only, which, as long as you ride it often enough to keep the battery going, then it's never failed me, even going through puddles and stuff. It's always been good. It's a pretty maintenance-free bike like the rest of them. As long as you keep up with your oil changes and air filter changes, then it'll treat you just as good as you treat it. The suspension on here is a little bit heavier than the other ones, so you'd be able to hit those bigger jumps and not have to worry about bottoming out or anything. And yeah, I mean, it's been a great bike for me. Steve had the same bike for a while, except the Honda, and both of them never had any major issues, and yeah, it's been good ownership.
Yeah, so my experience with the 230, I didn't have this one, but I had the CRF230. Same thing, very simple, very reliable. I moved up from the XR100 to the CRF230. It was a very easy change. I felt right at home on the Honda, which is why I didn't go for the Yamaha. My CRF230 had 6 gears. It was 1 down, 5 up. So you had a little bit more, choice, I guess, when selecting gears. This definitely does have a lot more power than the other ones. It's also the heaviest. These 230s are very, very heavy, whereas I found the 100, I feel like when dealing with the power to weight to the size ratio, I think the 100 is probably the best. It's very light for the size as well as the power it has. I feel like KLX110L is actually a little bit heavy when dealing with it. Probably the book weight of it is probably actually lighter than the 100, but just of course dealing with the length of it, it does feel a little bit heavy. That's also probably because it has a battery and the whole electrical system, whereas the 100 does not. Then the 230s, they are the biggest in the class. They have the highest seat height, but they're also the heaviest, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. It makes it very easy to ride when you're on it. It's very stable. It's very it's gonna go where you want it to go, but when you do drop it, be ready to pick it up because it is a heavy bike. Okay, so thank you guys for watching this video. This has been our recommendations of the best 3 beginner bikes, starting with any of the 110s, then to the 100s. You can even include some of the 125s in the class, like TTR 125s and the DRZ 125s. I've just had experience on the 100 and it's treated me so well. That's why I refuse to sell it, even though I've had a couple bikes since then. I just love it so much. Even though I am an experienced rider now, I love getting out on the 100 and just messing around on it because it is just a fun and enjoyable bike. And then moving up to the biggest bike in the class, which is the TTR230. Same thing for the TTR and the CRF230. Do your research with all of these. Just pick what brand you want. But this is the biggest bike in the class, has the most power, definitely for the bigger riders. So you guys have a lot of options when choosing. All 3 of these bikes on the used market are very cheap. They're very affordable. And since they are all name brand, you can find parts for them very easily. You can do the maintenance on them very easily. There's a bunch of YouTube videos out there, including a lot of our videos that show you how to work on these bikes, how to perform maintenance on them. So it's all 3 of these great bikes. It's all really about what size you want, how much power you want, and basically what you're looking for. So thank you for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm never gonna know what it feels like to be normal. I'm alone in this cold light, and I've been going up on the stars in the nighttime. I came back to the earth trying to get mine, but I'm still trying to get to where I gotta be. And now I'm feeling so close to that little dream. It's killing me, so I'ma go escaping. I've been trapped in the mind of a boy in a spaceship, set free into the universe. My life and I is still doing work, and now I'm lost in a world of imaginary people, and I'm the only one they see through. But I don't know what I've been told, but I've been told that I'm all up on my own, and I've been gone so long, but I've been loving it all. My planet raised me and taught me what I know, and what I know is what you don't. Wanna go somewhere else then. I wanna go somewhere else then. Yeah. I need to get home. I need to get home. How will I go on? So